Yeah, okay, talk about another place that is unique to this world.
I had so much caffeine, I started levitating.
That's how you know it's working. The best part about what I'm doing is that
And we started. So, Byron, what you been up to the past 18 months, man?
hello, good to see you. I've been traveling a bunch
Good.
since we talked in October of 2022. I continued doing improv shows all through Asia.
Okay.
And my next stop was South Korea, and then I went to Taiwan, the Philippines, um, Bali, Indonesia,
Mm.
Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Singapore. So it was I was all over every part of Asia doing comedy shows. So that was, I'd say, the next 4 or 5 months after we chatted, and then took a little break, went back to Los Angeles, where I'm from, and then started again. And it did all 8 countries in Central America
Mm.
and Mexico as well. So I've just been traveling a lot. I've been performing, and it's been an adventure. It's been an adventure for sure.
I bet. Yeah. So, like we were talking before we started recording, there's always, something that happens when you're traveling. And I'm sure since you're a professional, you have a funny take on it. So, any any really cool experiences, surprises?
I mean, there are so many. I mean, the best part about what I'm doing is that when I travel to a place, obviously, you can look on TripAdvisor, top attractions, destinations, or whatnot. But because I'm performing with folks that live in these countries, they always have something that's usually not on my radar.
Mm.
Something that I never would have found on my own. In Vietnam, I was with a group in Hanoi called the Rotten Grapes, and they were super excited to take me around town to the little food stand that I never would have found, or
Mm.
these abandoned train tracks that have a train, I think have a train once a day, but they know when it is, so you can go and walk on these train tracks and without concern that you're going to be run off into it. Um, and so just little things like that, little moments like that along the way. I was in Costa Rica, and some folks who came to the show, they invited me to just hop in a car and drive around and check out the mountains. And we went and saw sloths and baby sloths at this rescue place. So just little things like that. I mean, they add up, and I do my best to like share them on social media and things like that. But it's yeah, it's every new place I've been has been an adventure for sure.
Cool, cool. Good, good. And you said you're in upstate New York right now?
I am, yeah, taking a little break from traveling for the summer. I've done a few shows around the states, not for my improv ambassador thing, just for this company that I'm with. We do shows at colleges around the U.S.
Okay.
So that's I've been doing a little bit of that, but I'm there's a family place here in upstate New York, so I'm here for the summer. Really a continuation of my travels, because I record all this video for YouTubes and Instagram and TikTok, and then when I'm traveling, it's very tough to sit down and focus and edit and then do it's fun to take the video. It's less fun to like watch it 10 times and process it and then edit it into a
Yep.
comprehensive video. And so a lot of my summer now is focused on that, sort of processing all the stuff I've done over my travels, and trying to put it out there for people to enjoy. So that's my summer goal. Some travel here and there, and then I'm also writing a screenplay, which I'm very excited about. So just and again, writing is also something that's very tough when you're,
Mm.
jumping from Airbnb to hostel to hotel and all that. So trying to have a focused summer, not terribly exciting for the improv master world, but the body needs rest at some point.
Yes. Well, the body, the mind, the soul, everything, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Actually, I find the same thing with video. I've I finished that video that we were talking about, the coffee taste test video,
That's right. That's right.
and
And how did it? And it
I
finally went out, right? I
I
saw it.
threw caution to the wind, and I just went to the park and just drank a bunch of coffee, and I had so much caffeine, I started levitating, and then,
Okay, good. That's how you know it's working.
exactly, and some of them are good, some of them were not, and I just gave an honest opinion, like,
That's
"Oh, this
great.
one's amazing, this one's terrible, this one's got a funny name," and
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, before I went out there, I had this cooler bag, it was 35 degrees Celsius outside, and, it's you can tell when I make a video in the summer because I start off with a dry shirt, and by the end of the video, my shirt is soaked and sticking to my body.
Yeah, exactly. I was in Cambodia and Laos in early 2023, and it was during that horrendous heat wave, like
Mhm.
record temperatures. But I'm in Siem Reap. I'm not gonna not go to Angkor Wat because it's
Sure.
hot.
Yeah.
But I'd always wanted to make a video there, and so I did. But I'm just like, I mean, you said at the end of the video, for me, it was like 5 minutes into the video. I was drenched. I have like red spots on my skin for like, I'm like allergic to heat or so, the sunscreen or whatever it was. But so it's a little, it's a little gnarly. But I tried to focus on the beautiful 1,000-year-old statues and temples instead of my pickled face. So.
Well, the once in a lifetime opportunities too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but it was my third time there. But I consider myself very lucky. But Angkor Wat, there's also very few places when I'm traveling where I will go more than once because I'd rather see something new. But Angkor Wat and Siem Reap are a big exception to that.
Mhm.
Not only because it's so unique and unlike anything else that you'll see on this planet, but it's also so large that you can go several times and see and experience different parts of it and different things that you never have before. So that's why Angkor Wat and Cambodia, Japan, those are the two places that I always highly, highly recommend people see in Asia. Hanoi as well. But I would put, Angkor Wat and then Japan. These are just unique places that you won't really see anywhere else in the world. So I don't know if anyone listens to me, but I recommend them. So
Yeah. Well, I don't know if anybody listens to me, but I always recommend, coming to Japan, study Japanese, My cousin
sure.
was just here last month for a
Okay.
week, had a blast, went to Hiroshima, went to Kyoto.
Wow.
Hiroshima was amazing. Just you
Yeah.
can't really describe it. Went to the Peace Memorial, of course.
Sure. Yeah, I haven't been farther south than Osaka, but that's my next when I return to Japan, which I'm sure I will, because it's my favorite place that I've traveled. I'm going to focus on the south
Yeah.
because the south, and then maybe even the far like Hokkaido,
Mm.
because those are the parts that I haven't experienced yet, and I would like to. But it's always fun when someone visits because it gets you to like, oh yeah, I've never done this, or let's try that, and you do the touristy things
Mhm.
that you never would have done if you're just here because you live here. And so it's so funny, I go to all these places like, oh, okay, I gotta see the top 5 things and I gotta explore everywhere. And then someone's like, hey, I'm gonna come to LA. I'm like, okay, I wonder what there is to do here because I've never done it. So it's good to have visitors to show around.
Absolutely. Well, one thing I would do would be and I've done this one time, is walk up to the Hollywood sign,
Great.
you know?
Yeah,
Make
nice.
like, take a selfie video there or something, just
That's
for
good. I
fun.
haven't gone all the way up, but Griffith Park and Griffith Observatory rather
Mhm.
is one of my favorite places in the city. You have a great view of the sign and then an incredible panoramic view of LA. LA, to be fair, is not the best place to visit. It's just logistically, it's a spread out mess. The best three things are all, 10 miles from each other, and you need a car. The public transportation's rough. So I enjoy living in LA, but visiting is not the best. But yeah, the Hollywood sign is fun. It's smaller than people usually expect.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, go to San Diego or San Francisco if you're going to come to California, or Yosemite. Go to Yosemite. That's the
there you
best.
go. Go to
That's the
Yosemite.
best we have to offer.
Go
Yeah.
to Vegas. It's like only 4 hours away, right? So
Vegas. Yeah. Okay. Talk about another place that is unique to this world. That is Las Vegas. So
yes,
that's good. You do a Vegas, Japan, Anchor Wat
ooh,
trio, and that's about as eclectic a trip as you can put together.
life is complete, right? So
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
I was telling my cousin when he was here, I've been in Japan 20 years. I've never been to Hiroshima.
That's wild to me, especially because you have the infrastructure, you have the bullet
Yep.
trains that make it so easy. That's one of the most embarrassing things about living in the US is we're the richest country in the world, but our train travel is not only slow, but it's expensive and it goes limited places. And it's just embarrassing. We have this incredible country that people should be able to see easily and quickly on trains, and they can't do it. So that's another reason I love Japan is because y'all have your stuff together, and you know, you make the whole country available to see if you want to.
Yeah, it's
So,
great. I mean, my cousin got the JR pass, which allows you to
hmm
take the bullet train.
yep,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
He said he traveled just enough to make it worthwhile, but
sure,
I talked to other people who went all the way from Hokkaido to, Kyushu and, down south, and
yeah.
it paid off for itself more than double.
Of course, in one trip. Yeah, we did that the first time we were there. You just kind of do the math and figure it out. I didn't do it the last time because I would go to a place and then after I left Tokyo when we chatted, I would go to a place and I would want to spend 3 or 4 days there. And so if you're doing it like that, it doesn't really make sense because there isn't really a pass that fits that. But if you have a short trip and you're trying to see as many things as possible, it's like a home run too. Europe has some great options as well. The Eurail passes, and they have a lot of different options as far as unlimited and thing, and it's just train travel is the best. It's literally the best parts of driving and the best parts of flying
Yep.
combined into one sleek package. So I love trains, and yeah, it is truly a shame that the U.S. Doesn't have
Yeah.
doesn't have competitive train travel.
I mean, we have Amtrak, but, it's not like you can just
Yeah.
get on the train in LA and go to New York in a day, you know? Um,
No, no. It's a you wind across the country and then LA to New York would probably cost $750,000. So
ooh,
it's
yeah,
if it's if it's not cheaper than a plane, why would anyone do it? It shouldn't just be for fun, which it is. It should be,
mhm,
yeah. Anyway.
yeah.
Anyway, I love my country, but it's also there's room for improvement, shall we say?
So that's it. Byron for president then.
That's it. Yeah. Should I throw my hat in the ring? Maybe not this
Sure.
cycle. Maybe I'll wait. I'll wait one more cycle.
Okay. Cool,
Yeah,
cool.
that's good. I
Yeah,
have your vote. Do you still vote in the States? How does it work?
I can, yeah, by, absentee ballot.
Got it.
You just have
Cool.
to get it early. Like, you have to request it
Sure.
super early.
Right. That
So I
makes
think I'd have
sense.
to request this week.
Got it. All
I
right.
mean,
Well, you
it's
should you
September,
should do that. Well, what state are you in? Let's see.
Utah
Oh,
is my home.
Utah. Well, all right. I guess it doesn't really matter. But hey, I always participate democracy.
Yeah,
That's what I say.
absolutely, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Cool, cool. So, what's next?
What's next? So, very exciting, but editing a bunch of YouTube videos, putting out a bunch of Instagram reels and TikToks,
Mhm,
and then trying to finish this script. And then that's my summer. And then, um, in basically middle of August.
mhm,
Every year, this company that I got my start with improv in, they we do colleges. So for freshman orientations and when kids are coming back to school, it's like all hands on deck. I'll do 20 to 25 shows in 30 days. So
Whoa.
it's like a crazy, you do a show, you get on a plane at 6 a.m., you connect somewhere at 10 a.m., you land at 3 p.m., you do a show at 7 p.m., and then you do that the next day. Or you do the show, you drive 5 hours the next day, you do the show. So it's we're crisscrossing all over the US. There's a bunch of, my friends and I are all doing different shows in different places. I think last year, on the last Saturday in August, we had 10 different shows going on around the country at the same time, which is very cool. So that will be my August, and it's good. It's always good to get back and do a lot of shows in a row. It hones your skills and your
Oh,
shakes off the cobwebs sometimes.
uh,
And then honestly, I don't know what I'm doing in the fall. I would love to continue the improv ambassador thing. Part of why I'm staying put for a little while is to save money. I haven't found an eclectic sponsor or an eccentric sponsor yet to sponsor my adventure. So I'm still figuring out how to monetize what I'm doing. But I've saved up enough money by not traveling that I should be able to do some sort of improv ambassador international run in the fall, maybe over Christmas time, something like that. Uh, I'm not sure where, but I've had my eye on India
ooh,
because there's a huge improv scene in India. I know a couple people there, and I know for certain that uh, and like I like to do tours. I like to do routes. If I'm going to spend money to go to a distant place, I'd like to get knock off several shows in nearby countries. And India, unfortunately, when you after India, the neighbors get a little dicey as far as where
you
to
got
perform.
Pakistan,
But
China, right?
right, exactly. You're yes. So, but India, but also I could also India itself is so diverse, and with the
Mhm.
different states, I could do several shows around there. Nepal, I already have an invitation to go to Nepal, and then I have Bhutan, Bangladesh. Myanmar's having a bit of a civil war at the moment, so that's tough. So I don't know, but again, as I found with this thing, you set up the first two, and then you go from there.
Mm.
So that's what I'm eyeing. No one book your tickets to come see me in these places yet. It's not set in stone, but
Well,
that's sort of what I'm eyeing. That's sort of what I'm eyeing because I've always wanted to go to these places, and there's a robust improv scene in India,
you know,
which is very exciting.
once you
Uh,
get
sure,
India, it's cheap, but getting there,
yeah, and honestly, but that's also the good thing about being in New York. It's really not terribly expensive. They have nonstops to Delhi every day from New York. They even have a new nonstop from Los Angeles to Delhi, which is crazy. So it's not crazy bad. But and that's another benefit of being in New York is literally but because there's people from all over the world that live here, there's lots of demand for flights anywhere around the world.
well,
So
the banking capital, in New York, so
exactly,
expensive.
exactly. Thank you, Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah,
Set it all up here.
perfect. That's a good setup then for a good hub for travel then, okay.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. LA, but then LA is better for Asia, so you just never know. But it's nice to be able to go nonstop places.
Mm,
Um, Sri Lanka too. I know a guy in Sri Lanka that does improv, so that's a possibility. Um, I guess the Maldives, since they're down there, since I'm right there, um, before they disappear, which is a big issue for them. But yeah, so the future is unknown. That's my that's the short answer.
yep. Okay. Cool, cool.
Yeah.
Well, any we've talked about fun experiences, Angkor Wat, Japan and stuff. Um, any scary experiences? Like any cops or any robbers or
No, I never felt unsafe. The only and I was in Central America. and I was in, I want to get this right. I was in Honduras,
Okay.
in the capital, which is Tegucigalpa, which is a great name. And that's not, there's no one visits Tegucigalpa really. I was the only American that I uh, met. Well, not met. It was just me.
Okay.
But I didn't meet any other Americans while
Mm,
I was there.
mm,
Um, um, well, that's not true. Some did come to the show, which was at
okay.
a pub, but it was a very expat crowd. Actually, someone from the embassy who I'd invited came to the show, which was very nice, and it was good to meet. So I did meet Americans, but out and about,
Yeah.
there's nobody, and people looked at me like I was like I had a unicorn horn on my head because they're like, "What's this guy doing here?" Um, but they have this in Tegucigalpa. They have this, and if I'm mispronouncing the name, I apologize. But in Tegucigalpa, they have this hill, sort of a park on the hill where it's called Picacho, and they have the Christ of the Picacho. Again, I'm butchering the name, I'm sure. It's not Pikachu, it's Picacho,
Okay.
and so sort of a Christ of the Redeemer, like Rio de Janeiro, their version of it, up on this peak overlooking the capital, and there's a park, and so I wanted to visit it, and so they have Ubers down there, and so I put in an Uber and I put where I thought the park was. And it was towards the end of the day, but I'm like, great, I'll go up there, I'll get a great good sunset. And Tegucigalpa is it's I don't think dangerous is the right word, but there is crime. Every restaurant or business has a person, a guard with a shotgun outside of it.
Mm,
So it's dangerous in a sense, because if it wasn't, people wouldn't be acting like that, guarding their businesses. And again, and when you go to places, everyone, I do find that there's an over concern about how dangerous a place is, or say, oh, you can't go out at night, you can't walk places. I told told to me by not people that live there,
mm,
so I always take that with a grain of salt, and I always try to verify for myself, because I you know I'm an optimist, or I believe that people are good or whatever, but so I asked the people that I was performing with in Honduras, who are Honduran, and I said, I've been told not to go out at night. Is that true? And they're like, oh yeah, we don't go out at night. I'm like, okay. Well, if you're telling me that, then then I will heed that advice.
mm,
So I take this Uber up to the park, but I had put the pin in the wrong place.
mm,
And so the park was above me, but to get to the park would have been like a 2 mile uphill around this road.
mm,
So the sun is setting, and I'm basically just in this neighborhood outside of the main town, just standing there. I've got my drone bag, on my shoulder, and I'm like, you know what? This isn't great. This isn't great. I put myself into a pickle here, and the Ubers, they're around the city, but because I was outside of the city, it was they weren't coming to pick me up, or they would take my ride and then they would see where I was at and they would cancel it.
mm,
So I'm like, this is a problem. Walk, I could, it'd probably take 3 or 4 hours to walk back down to the city, and who knows what that walk would be. So I just sort of hung out, chilled in this neighborhood. People would honk at me as they drove by, which was enjoyable actually. And then, after an hour, it's dark, and I was like, I don't know if I want to knock on doors or what I want to do. But after about an hour, I got an Uber, and they drove all the way up from the city, and they got me, and then they drove me down, and I was very thankful
ooh,
to see that. And no one came up to me, no one threatened me or anything. But just from what I'd heard from the people that lived there, wasn't I didn't put myself in the best
mm.
position. just because I dropped the pin on the map the wrong way. Um, but that said, I never felt unsafe even then, and the food was great. The people were super nice. We had a really fun show at an Irish pub,
Mhm.
and it was good. And then uh, so actually in that same place there was like a hostel that had a rooftop bar across the street from my Airbnb in Tegucigalpa, and I went over there. And again, when I walked in there, it was like Bradley Cooper had walked in. Everyone's like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man?" And then this fashion designer guy is Honduran. They invited me over to their table and having drinks with me. And then when I was walking out, this guy in a perfect American accent said, "Hey, man, what's up? Like, where are you from?" I'm like, "Oh, hey, dude. I'm from LA." He's like, "Oh, cool. Like, I grew up in Texas." I'm like, "Oh, cool. What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I got deported." I'm like, "No, what happened?" And he's like, because he sounds just like me. He's like,
Yeah.
so my parents illegally took me into Honduras when I was 6 or 7 years old.
Mhm.
So he grew up in Texas, and worked at like repairing air conditioners, and had a job and a regular life, and his life was American. And then he had a buildup of unpaid parking tickets, and they came after him for the tickets. And then they found out that he was not there legally through no fault of his own, because
Mm.
he was basically American there. He grew up there since he was 6 or 7, and so they deported him. And he was not happy about it, because he'd been living in Honduras. It's like, this isn't my home. This is where I'm from, but it's not where I grew up. This is
Mm.
not my country. So he was figuring out a way to go back, which may or may not have been a legal way of returning, but he was determined to get back. And once he did, he has family there, he has a job there. And I said, if you get back, pay your effing parking tickets. And he's
I
like,
was
oh
gonna say,
yeah,
moral of the
oh,
story,
I will be,
pay your parking
I
ticket.
will be.
Wow.
Yeah. So I really felt bad for the guy. He was a man between two worlds, and he was really excited to talk to me, because I don't think there's not a lot of other Americans to interact with.
Mhm. Okay, Zoom's
So
telling
that was just one adventure from my improv ambassador travels.
Zoom's telling us we got 10 minutes, so we'll go about 9 more minutes, okay?
Yeah.
Before I
Great.
forget, you said, you're looking for a patron? So if people wanna get a hold of you, what's
Exactly.
the best way? And I didn't put your YouTube channel in the show notes last time, so please send it
Okay.
to me,
Yeah.
and also your
Absolutely.
the Instagram. But if somebody wants to, maybe fund some of your travels.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm looking for an eccentric sponsor, patron, sugar daddy, or sugar mama. I'm open to all comers.
Okay.
So yeah, at Improv Ambassador on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, at Improv Ambassador with no on Twitter, because it was one character too long, so that's super annoying. But the Instagram, the YouTube, the TikTok, those are the ones that I post on the most. Those are the
Yep.
best follows. And yeah, DMs are open. Someone wants to sponsor me. I'm ready to sell out for whatever you're shilling. I will sell your wares worldwide. Um, but yeah, no, I think that part is, I just need to be better at putting myself out there in a selling way. I'm good at booking shows and putting these shows on, but I need to be better at like emailing hotels and being like, hey, I'll showcase your place, because I've
Yeah.
got a following now. I've got a pretty decent
Yeah.
following. But showcasing places in exchange, just staying for free and
Sure, sure.
prolonging the runway of my dream here.
Sure, sure. Well, I mean, like, is it Casey Neistat? He'll do a video where he travels to Dubai or something, and at the end, he'll say,
Hmm.
"Oh, this is brought to you by United Emirates Airlines," and it's
Exactly, and I
going on
mean,
an awesome vacation, but, you know?
Yeah, and but that's good for them,
Sure.
for a free first class flight, they got, 25, 30 million views on a YouTube thing. So yeah, that would be I'm ready. I'm ready. It doesn't just have to be airplanes. I'll sell anything, anything you want.
Yep, yep. There you go. Well, I always find people are pretty generous when you're traveling, and when you're trying to do something cool, like, do improv in 100 and finish my sentence here?
97. It's depending on who you ask. Yeah. Yeah. Depending on who you ask. 197
197 countries.
countries.
It
Yeah.
it always seems like when you're traveling, people are really cool, especially when you're trying to do something cool. Like, they'll offer a ride,
Totally.
dinner,
Totally.
you know?
Yeah. And that's been great. And that's an improv thing too. Improv is a collaborative art form. And so the people that are attracted to improv are people who are willing to say yes, willing to take that step without knowing where you go. And so those are like-minded people that I interact with, and everyone's been so welcoming and great. So yeah, I've performed in 20 countries now, which is basically 10% of the countries in the world, which it seems like a lot, and it also seems like very little. But I've got some good momentum. People have been responsive, so it's exciting.
Awesome. Awesome, man. Well, gosh, we still got a few minutes, but, I've run out of questions for you.
That's all right. That's all right. So it goes. I do want to come back to Japan.
Hmm,
My friend Mike Staffa, still running the Pirates of Tokyo Bay, stronger than ever. But yeah, I would love to come back to Japan and then do another in person conversation.
love to, yeah. I've started doing, video now.
Excellent, great. Well, I would have showered before this if I'd known.
I would have appreciated it.
Yeah, that's all right. That's my
No,
bad.
no, no, but I don't do them in my small apartment, which you visited. I do them in a rental studio now.
Oh, cool. That's very fun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a
Look at
it's
you with the glow up.
I spend, like, an extra $10 once the studio, and then it's got a TV in the background between the 2 guests, and so I can throw
Mhm.
graphics up there and pretend like it's a
Oh,
private
that's great.
studio.
No, that's a true
Better,
professional setup.
and
You're not pretending. That is a professional
and then
presentation.
2 camera angles, like, 1 on both of us and then 1 just on the guest, so when they say something clever, that becomes a
Sure. Cut in. That's fantastic. Man,
really leveling up the game.
becoming a yeah, you're leveling up. You're becoming a Tokyo media mogul.
I Well, hey, I passed 1,000 subscribers on YouTube and got
Yes. Well
monetized
done.
in June, and this is crazy, and I'm sure you building a following, I lied, I said I was running out of questions, but, um, I got more. Um, you
Great.
notice building up a following in your career that it's like it's really level for a while and then spikes. I had
Yep.
100 subscribers last year on my birthday.
Wow.
This year on my birthday, had 1,000,
That's fantastic.
and
Yeah, I mean, that's how it works, and it's also to anyone who's trying to do this, it can be really frustrating.
Mm,
You put in this work, you put these things up that you think are good, and then no one watches them.
yeah, yeah.
And you literally you just have to keep doing it because there will be a tipping point where it will catch fire all of a sudden, or the right person will see what you're doing that can amplify what you're doing, or you know employ you to do something else in a similar vein. But that moment happens fast, and you never know when it's going to happen. And if you give up and you stop putting your content out,
Mhm.
then no one, you're giving up on that spark to happen. So you just can't quit.
Absolutely, and now of course, every content creator wants to have a viral video, but now I think I don't wanna have a viral video because if you ask me what was viral 6 months ago, I wouldn't know.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
the people who get consistent views and who get, they're consistently high quality, like, that's what I strive for.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Yeah, and viral doesn't have to be a dance move or whatever. It could be one of the things that you've been doing can go viral, and it just means it's more popular and people respond to what you're doing. So it doesn't viral doesn't have to necessarily be a bad word, like the
Sure.
V word. If it goes viral in a sense that many more people watch the thing that you've been putting out there, I think it can be a good thing for sure.
I think so, yeah. I think so. I mean, it's a little bit, well, like I said, what we talking about last time, I said, "I'm afraid to make this coffee video because I might piss off a potential sponsor." And I had like 100 subscribers
Yeah.
at the time. Now I'm like, "Oh, I don't wanna make a viral video too early because what if they see my other stuff?" It's like, I think I'd get
No,
even
don't don't
worse.
don't worry about that. Try to get the viral video, believe me. It's I've had a few of them, and it's a
Mm,
great feeling. And you know, you don't want the viral video to be of the content that you don't normally make, because then people are like, wait, why aren't you making the thing? So if something blows up and it's the stuff you've been working on, I mean, that's the dream. And don't worry about this stuff. Don't sweat these things. And whenever, also, with people commenting negatively, that will happen
yep,
even if you're negative or positive. That is part of putting yourself out there in this world, especially in social media, and you just can't take it personally. You can't let it get to you. You can delete comments. It's just, yeah. Don't let the negative people try and tear you down because you're creating something. Because that's then they win. That's what they want.
exactly, exactly. I've had a few of those, and, it's funny because after a couple weeks, if you were to ask me, "What was that comment 2 weeks ago?" I'm like, "I don't know," because it's not
Exactly.
there on
Exactly.
it's not on my page anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.